We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. The Middle East has gone bonkers yet again. We have got confirmed attacks now on US air bases in Qatar. Guys, listen, the situation is not like it was before in 2020 when there was airstrikes on US bases. This whole dynamic has changed. And guys, listen, just before the get-go, I want to throw this out there. I think, and it's again, it may not be, but I'm saying that the US embassy in Baghdad right now is ridiculously vulnerable, guys, okay? The US embassy in Baghdad is very vulnerable. I've been to the US embassy in Baghdad. It is so vulnerable. It's right there on the river. You could get, there could be attacks from the other side of the river. There could be actual attacks from the green zone. We know this has happened before. So right now, guys, I'm saying it, I'm putting it out there now because it may actually happen while we are on the live stream, guys, okay? It may actually happen while we're on the live stream. But ladies and gentlemen, listen, the breaking news of the day is Iran has sent an attack over to the US airbase. And look, guys, there's a lot of mainstream media commenting saying, oh, this might be like the 2020, when the Iranians attacked the US airbase in 2020, when they gave them pre-warning. When they get, guys, listen, a lot of people, I look at them and I think, what are you talking about? The dynamics, the global shift, the power, back then they weren't in a full war with the Israelis. The whole situation is different, guys, okay? And of course, what we're talking about there is the 2020, I believe it was. I think it was 20. I think it was 2020 airstrikes after the United States called in an airstrike on, who was it? Soleimani. Just out of interest, guys, okay, Soleimani is supposed to have been given a ring, and that ring had a very specific atomic number, and that they were supposed to be able to track that by satellites. Now, I don't know if that's true, guys. I genuinely don't know if that's true, but that is the rumor. That's how they were able to track him via satellites. Again, I don't know how this technology works, but they said they gave him a ring and had a very specific atomic number. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we are going to be focusing on today. The escalating tensions in the Middle East. We're going to be focusing on the potential of sleeper cells being activated across Europe, across the United Kingdom, and of course, across the United States. With sleeper cells, guys, okay, you don't just get the activation of, excuse me, with sleep cells, guys, you don't just get the, you don't just get the sleeper cells. You get the sleeper cells who think they're sleeper cells. So, like Mohammed and Tariq, who live in the hotel, they've got nothing better to do, but all of a sudden they think they've got purpose. They think they've got a calling. They're not real sleeper cells, but they're going to pretend to be sleeper cells and do sleeper cell stuff. But anyway, guys, listen, let me get on to the news because it is all going bonkers. But guys, listen, I do want to get that out there. I do think the embassy, the US embassy in Baghdad is ridiculously vulnerable right now, guys, okay? US embassy in Baghdad, okay, guys? I want to get it out there. I want to get it out there before we continue, guys, okay? Because it could actually happen. It could actually happen while we are on the live stream, guys, okay? So let me get the news up as we know it as of now, guys, okay? And if you're on, ladies and gentlemen, can you like, follow, subscribe, press the buttons down below, all those things that help the channel grow. Right, let me jump down, guys. Let me jump down because there have been live updates in the last couple of minutes. Iran will continue its retaliation in response to US attacks, senior Iranian officials say. Iran will continue its, and I'm reading this now, guys, from The Guardian. This was like 15 minutes ago, sorry. My eyes are getting worse. Iran will continue its retaliation in response to US attacks, senior Iranian officials say. Iran will continue its retaliation in response to the US attacks. He just said the same thing. He said Iran has the necessary rationality to begin diplomacy after punishing the aggressor. Adding if the US seeks negotiation, Israeli and US attacks must stop. Well, do you know what, guys? I think the time for negotiation is over. Look, guys, okay, it's like when you tell your children off. You tell them, you say, look, don't do that. Or go and tidy your bedroom. No. Go and tidy your bedroom. No, I'm not tidying my bedroom. Go and tidy your bedroom. No, right, I'm taking your Nintendo off you. Oh, but Daddy, please, I'll tidy my bedroom now. I'll tidy my bedroom now. No, you had plenty of chances to tidy your bedroom. You didn't want to tidy your bedroom. Now you don't have any Nintendo. You've got to learn to do what I say. And that's the situation we've got here, guys, with this thing with Iran. Listen, the prospect of Iran being able to fight the United States in a pitched battle, it's more than humorous, guys. All right, it's not going to happen. But the prospect of Iran fighting a war over attrition, a guerrilla war, an asymmetric war, that is high. The likelihood of that, and that would be catastrophic, guys. It would be really catastrophic for those U.S. military personnel, those boots on the ground. Right, guys, listen, I am just going to jump on here, guys. I'm going to jump on here and get some of these comments. Lots of comments, guys. Listen, guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on TikTok, I've got the chat open. There are loads of comments jumping through, guys, okay? Lance Romance, it was clearly a restrained attack. Hang on. Okay. So Lance Romance, shall we dance? Lance Romance is saying it was clearly a restrained attack. They even told America they were coming. I'm not sure if they told America that they were coming, but I would assume they told the Qataris. Look, guys, that air base, I think it's called Al Assad Air Base. I've spent quite a bit of time there myself. Do fantastic sandwiches. Al Assad Air Base, it's a huge air base. It's not really near anything, so you could fire missiles on that and you could have a good degree of inaccuracy. You could miss them, basically. What I've seen, and again, listen, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I don't go with what the mainstream media tell us. I make my own mind up. Like yesterday, for example. Yesterday, when everybody was saying that these bases, these underground bunkers are being destroyed, little old Raven, I was saying, listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's, and I had the little diagram and I said, look, I'm not convinced these bunkers have been incapacitated. Turns out the Israelis are doing more airstrikes on the same locations. So riddle me this, riddle me that, Batman. If those nuclear bases have been neutralized, why continue to strike them? I don't know. Maybe there's a legitimate reason, but I'm not convinced that these were restrained attacks. Now, normally when there's a restrained attack, you can tell by the trajectory of that missile where that's going to land. So, for example, guys, look, air defenses. This is how they work. You have two radars. So you'll have the wide angle radar, for example. The wide angle radar will say, right, there's a load of stuff coming from that direction. Then you will get the targeting radar. The targeting radar will lock onto said system, said munitions. It will say, right, it's traveling at this speed, it's traveling at that angle, and yeah, they can do that really quickly with computers. It's traveling at that distance, at that angle, it's going to hit or it's not going to hit. If it's not going to hit, I would speculate that if it's not going to hit, they may have just said, right, don't intercept. Let the Iranians have their moment of glory. But the interceptors did go up, guys. Okay, the interceptors did go up. Again, look, guys, the Americans have got some of the most. They've not got some of the most. They have got the most. They've got the most advanced equipment. The most advanced air defense systems known to man. So it's no surprise to me, guys. Okay, it's no surprise to me that all these munitions have been intercepted. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have to right now. The world is not like it was back in 2020. It's a totally different, it is a totally different, it's a totally different world right now, guys. Okay, I do believe that Baghdad, Baghdad at the American embassy in Baghdad right now, ladies and gentlemen, is ridiculously vulnerable. Okay, U.S. embassy in Baghdad, I do think that is ridiculously vulnerable. Deza is saying, why did they have to tell where they were attacking? Excuse me, Deza. Look, guys, I don't have all the answers. I'm going to give you my response to that. So why did they tell the Qataris that they were attacking? I would say that they told the Qataris that they were attacking, so the Qataris didn't fire back at them. So, so the friendly Qataris will be saying, hello, mate. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, we're going to throw some missiles at the Al-Assad air. I'm sure it's called Al-Assad, at the Al-Assad air base. I'm pretty sure it's called Al-Assad. Yeah, we're going to fire some missiles at Al-Assad air base. Yeah, they're not aiming at you. Yeah, you don't need to worry, but they're going to go straight to the Al-Assad air base. Yeah, please don't fire back at us because we're not firing at you. That's kind of why you would do that. But look, guys, I'm like yesterday. I may be wrong, guys, okay? But like yesterday, I said I didn't believe that these deep underground military bases, nuclear facilities in Iran had been totally neutralized. Right now, there's more airstrikes going into those guys by the Israelis, and the media have changed their tune now. The mainstream media, they're not saying obliterated, they're saying damaged facilities. Right, guys, I'm just going to jump down and then I'm going to go over to what's happening on YouTube. Raven, why have the Houthis been so quiet? The Houthis haven't been quiet. The Houthis really haven't been quiet. And JTTJ says, I will not follow any lockdowns. I will not follow any lockdowns. So there we go, guys. We're not following any lockdowns as far as JT is concerned. Paige Butler, hello. Ben Mack is saying, Raven, you handsome para. Ben Mack, weren't you trolling me the other day? I'm sure Ben Mack was trolling me the other day. He's calling me handsome now. Where do you... Conan Taylor is saying, where do you get the information from? Okay, Conan Taylor, right? I've lived in Baghdad for 5 years. I've lived in Syria. I started my military career in 1999. I did the invasion of Iraq. I did probably 4 tours of Afghanistan with the military. When I got out, I went and I literally lived in Baghdad for 5 years. I've worked all over the Middle East, so I understand the Middle East and I understand I don't understand the Middle East, and anybody that says that understands the Middle East doesn't understand the Middle East. I know how things work out there. I know the work ethic, and I understand that, and I understand the culture. So I understand how these places are so key. I understand that the U.S. Embassy. Look, guys, that's my information. I'm getting that from me. Nobody's telling me that. When I say the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad is vulnerable, it's because I know it's vulnerable. It backs onto I can't remember if it's the Tigris or Euphrates, but I think it's the Euphrates, but it might be the Tigris, that runs through the middle of Baghdad. And the US Embassy, it's got a lovely embassy. It has it backs onto that river. So you can go up the other side of that river. There's a lot of hotels. There's a lot of bars. Yeah, bars in Baghdad. They love a drink out in Baghdad, guys. You know what, guys, listen, if you think in Muslim countries they don't go out for a drink, you are very much mistaken. So that whole region there, guys, it's very, it's very volatile. I can remember when I used to live in Baghdad, once, maybe twice a month, there would be something huge that went kaboom. So I know how dangerous. I know in Baghdad they've got they've got the capability. They've got the, they've got the capability. They've got the know-how, and they've got the materials in Baghdad to pull off some sort of attack to the US Embassy. The information, I've got that from my years of experience working in various places in the world. M5 is saying, I think Trump will offer Putin an Iran ceasefire as an ultimation deal to end the war in Ukraine. Right, so M5. So that's what M5 thinks over on YouTube. And I would say that we are not looking like peace deals anytime soon, guys, okay? Not a chance. I'd say we're looking like a ceasefire when a ceasefire, guys, look, in Ukraine, I do want to focus today on what's happening in the Middle East, guys, all right? But the only way that anyone can even talk realistically about a ceasefire in Ukraine is when the Russians get up to the River Dnipro. The other option would be the Russians to leave Ukraine and rebuild all the towns and villages that have been destroyed. I don't see that happening, but I do see a likelihood of the Russians getting up to the River Dnipro. Paul Africa Twin, hello, buddy. Silly Gallardi is saying, in Israel, they said we bombed the roads leading to Fordo. Right, okay, so so for Fordo, guys, it's got two main roads coming out of it. There's a road that runs pretty much to the north-south, and then you've got another road that runs kind of like, well, for you guys, it's that east, like south, I don't know, southeasterly road. If you can destroy those roads, that is something you would. And Tilly Gallard is saying that that's on. I'm assuming that's on. I'm assuming that's on Israeli media. But if you want to destroy those roads, you're going to slow down any. You're going to slow down any. Reconstruction of that facility. You cannot prove this man. John Tintwistle is saying, you cannot prove this man wrong at least 99% of the time. Thank you, John. Thank you so much, John. And then For Now over on YouTube is saying, hello, what's your opinion on the Strait of Hormuz? So look, guys, I've been talking about the Strait of Hormuz since this... I've been talking about the Strait of Hormuz for a long time. Most mainstream media articles now, guys, they're saying I think they're saying like a quarter of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. As I understand it, it's between 5 and 20% of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. That's true. Not only that, it's a huge shipping route. Now, if that's closed, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not convinced it's going to be a global recession, but it's going to drastically put the price of fuel up. I don't think the Iranians would close it. Why would you close it? Why would you close it when you can profit from it? So what I think they would do is, initially, I think they'd say, right, you can travel through the Strait of Hormuz as long as you pay me a hefty fee. That is, of course, going to raise the, that's going to raise the price of oil because you know what, ladies and gentlemen, whether we like it or not, we run on oil. So that's going to raise the price of oil. The price of oil dictates everything. Energy dictates everything, guys, all right? So whether we all, it's all well and good. We all think that David Lammy knows what he's talking about and they don't know anything. The only metric here, guys, is the price of energy. Everything else is condiments. Right, guys, listen, there's over 100 comments now on, YouTube right now, guys. Oh, Esoteric here is saying a lot of cognitive dissonance in your comments recently. So cognitive dissonance is something I learned about in the military. I learned quite extensively about it. Now, in the military, we learn about cognitive dissonance because if you go into a room in the military and there's lots of things happening that you wouldn't normally see, you've only got like maybe a second or maybe less than a second to react. And if you go into that room and you see something that your brain isn't used to seeing, your eyes will register it. Your eyes will tell your brain, and your brain will say, nah, that's wrong. No, you're not seeing that. And then your eyes will be saying, yeah, that is what I'm seeing. And your brain's saying, nope, that is far too dark. That is far too dark for those eyes to be seeing it. That sort of stuff doesn't happen. And that's cognitive dissonance. And you have to work on that in the military. Because if you're going into a room, you don't really want to freeze and go, you need to react to whatever the situation is. But a lot of people are getting cognitive dissonance. Everybody's trying to say that Donald Trump's gonna bring some, like, listen, guys, remember when people were saying, oh, Sean, Donald Trump's going to have this peace deal and he's going to phone Putin within 24 hours of him winning he's not even going to wait. Donald Trump's not even going to wait until he's inaugurated. I was like, he can't do that. It's physically impossible to stop that. And look at the world that we're in now, guys. All right. Does it look more or less volatile than back before Trump? But look, guys, I would have voted for Trump. I would have still voted for Trump. I would rather have Trump than the alternative. But anyway, guys, there's more than 100 messages now. Let me just jump down. Right, Googly is saying, watch the video on the Telegraph, hang on, of the Iranians celebrating the attacks. Nadine is saying, do you think the UK will strike Iran by Wednesday? Right, okay, I will always prioritize these messages, guys. I will always prioritize. Right, I'm trying to get this comment pinned. So Nadine is saying, do you think the UK will strike Iran by Wednesday? No, absolutely not. Not in a million years. Not going to happen. Take it off the cards. And I even think I said, do you know what, guys? Did I say something? I'm pretty sure I said something like, if the United Kingdom gets actively involved in this conflict in the Middle East, I'm pretty sure I said I'd eat my own hair. Did I say that? I did. I think I said that. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I am a man of my word. If the United Kingdom get actively involved in this conflict, then I will eat my own hair on a live stream, guys. I will eat my own hair on a live stream. I'm that confident that all the mainstream media pundits, commentators, they're all wrong, guys. They are all wrong. Diddly swizzle. Swizzly diddles, they don't know what they're talking about because somebody's telling them. I do my own stuff, guys, okay? I give you my own opinion, my own analysis. I talk about this stuff myself, guys, okay? So I don't, and again, look, people who are saying, oh, Sean, you're all doom and gloom. Well, I'm telling you guys that the United Kingdom is not going to get involved. So that's kind of like positive, maybe, if you live in the United Kingdom. Look, there's nothing. Zero, zilch, niente, bez. Niet spasiba, la shukran. There is nothing that the United Kingdom can contribute in this conflict in the Middle East. We don't have the cards. You don't have the cards, Kia. You got little cards. You got little cards. You don't have many of them. You need to keep those cards because you're going to be in the Ukraine soon, fighting the Russians. So, guys, you know that we don't have the cards in the United Kingdom to get involved in this conflict. Right, I'm just going to jump up and get some more of these comments on. Right, guys, listen, there are so many comments. The comment is going absolutely bonkers. Right, I want to get Big Keza. I've just seen somebody called Big Keza. I want Big Keza. Oh, right, hang on. Where's Big Keza's? Right, I've just seen somebody called Big Keza, and I want to get, I think Big Keza is a lady, although it might not be. Right, I can't, right, she's gone. Oh, there she is, Big Keza. Right, Big Keza. They won't. Yeah. Okay, so Big Keza. Sorry, not Big Keza. So Big Keza is saying they won't get involved. I think Big Keza. I'm assuming Big Keza is I don't know. Maybe Big Keza is a man. But Big Keza is saying they won't get involved because it will cause a severe amount of civil war within. Yeah, and as well as that, guys, you know, they would lose a lot of votes. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's all over the news now. I'm gonna switch a little bit to back onto the United Kingdom, okay? It is a little bit everybody's talking about it now in the United Kingdom. Sleeper cells this, sleeper cells that. People are scared that sleeper cells are going to be activated. Are sleeper cells going to be activated? When are the sleeper cells going to be activated? How will the sleeper cells be activated? I would say that 95%, I would say that most people don't need to be worried about actual sleeper cells, all right? So an actual sleeper cell, and this is one of those things where I get the definitions and like I totally understand how people are saying, oh, but he's not a sleeper cell. Like, you know, when somebody goes crazy with one of those like things and he's always, you know, they might be called like Muhammad or Tariq or something, and they go crazy and people are always wanting to associate the T word with them, the T'ist word. And I totally get it, guys, all right? To be one of those people that begins with a T, you have to identify an alignment with a political organization or group. If you can't find one, then they are literally just a lone wolf. That is just a lone wolf attack. And I get it, guys, all right? I totally get it. That is literally the definition, guys, right? Don't argue with me. Don't argue with me. Yeah, but they're terrorizing people. They are. But that is not the definition. So I totally get it, guys, right? But as we're talking about a sleep cell, guys, all right? A sleeper cell would be somebody who has that official line of chain of command, I guess, line of communication back with this whatever state sponsoring them. So whatever state you guys are thinking about, use that. Now, if they don't have that line of that chain of command back to that HQ, they're not a sleeper cell. They're not that. They are not a sleeper cell. What I think is going to happen in the United Kingdom, and I've said this so many times, those sleeper cells will go and pay. So those sleeper cells will just go and pay people to do crazy things. Right, you four, maybe go into a hotel. I don't know. Maybe go to a town centre. You four, come here. Yeah. What are you doing this Saturday? Not much. Do you want to earn yourself £1,000 each? Yeah, I'll do that. Right. Go to this location. You'll find a water pipe. Pay some money, buy a load of drills, and just drill into that water pipe. There you go, guys. That is an act of sabotage orchestrated by a sleeper cell, but not by a sleeper cell. Do you understand what I'm saying there, guys? I could have used lots of different definitions. You know, they could set fire to things. They could do even worse things. What I will say as well, guys, okay, and for the TikTok crowd, I have to be, oh, hang on, a question here from T. Brooke. So T. Brooke, hang on, let me try and pin this. So T. Brooke is saying, how many sleeper cells UK? How many have come on boats? And a question mark. Well, listen, guys. Obviously, I don't know the numbers, but a recent, I think it was MI5 or MI6 or one of the security, the intelligence services in the United Kingdom came out and they estimated that there are 40,000 people on watch lists in the United Kingdom. All right. So if that's the number, that's the number we've got to work with, that's the number we've got to work with. I would speculate the real number is considerably higher, but on this channel, we don't mess about with fake news. We give you guys the facts and the figures. So T. Broke is asking, how many sleeper cells UK? How many have come on boats? I don't know, but recent government numbers from the United Kingdom are that there are 40,000 people on watch lists. I guess it's not the people on watch lists, it's the people that are not on watch lists that are the ones to worry about. Right, I'm going to jump down again, guys. Oh, and then Silla Gallardi is saying, talking about sleeper cells, what do you think about Zoran, I can't pronounce his second name, but this guy, he's running for mayor in New York. I mean, look, guys, there's this guy, I don't know if you guys, I know a lot of my audience is from the UK, but there's this guy running for mayor. There's this guy running for mayor in New York, right? Imagine Sadiq Khan, but times 10. You know what I'm saying? He's so, it's absolutely insane. And he's running for the mayor of New York. I hope he doesn't get in, but you know what? I don't know what I think about it. I hope he doesn't get in. I think it's crazy that he's allowed to run with his belief system and some of the things he's talking about. But yeah, I mean, people are looking at America and saying, oh, you've got this guy running for mayor of New York. Well, go and look at London, go and look at Birmingham, go and look at Sheffield, go and look at Rotherham. We have got some fantastic mayors in the United Kingdom, or mayors if you're American. Sorry guys, let me jump over. I'm gonna do a couple comments on YouTube, guys, okay? Hang on. John Tintwistle here is saying, you, my friend, are one of the governments say about speaking out like you are doing. Good for you, my friend. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, John. Fantastic words. And then we've got, I like apple pie. He's saying, for over 100 people who come over on boats, how many are bad guys? Right. There's actually government statistics on this, guys, okay? So government statistics are for every 1,000, okay, so in the United Kingdom as a whole now, I can give you actual statistics on this. So I Like Apple Pie is asking, for every 100 people who come over on small boats, how many do you think are bad guys? I can tell you, government statistics are 9.3. There you are, guys. That's government statistics. Now, that statistic is from that statistic is from this. So Clifford Ferret Dog is saying this dude can't even pronounce words properly. Right, Clifford. So Clifford's trying to insult me. Clifford, send me a joke. Make sure it's funny, or you're getting muted. So for every 100 people, now the government statistics said that per capita in the United Kingdom, and this is not. It's not looking at boat people come over on boats. So you could argue that the people coming over on boats are peaceful because they're fleeing wars and they're peaceful people, or you could argue they are criminals as soon as they get here because they broke the law when they get here. But look, guys, I'm going to go with the actual government statistics. So per capita, per 1,000 people in the United Kingdom, 93 are criminals, have some sort of criminal record. So if we go with that statistic, for every 100 people that come over, 9.3 are going to be criminals. If we go with that statistic now, I obviously know that statistic would be in my opinion, it would be over to the other end, but I don't have any facts, any numbers to back that up with, guys. I don't have any numbers to back that up with. Kenzie McClellan, do you see America responding to the attacks? Absolutely, guys. Yes, I do. I do see America responding to those attacks. How, when, I don't know, but the people are going back to what happened in people are talking about what happened back in 2000 and I think it was 2020. It's funny because like I still have a lot of friends in Iraq. My phone started to go off. And loads of people are sending me pictures, and it was like pictures from the scene of Soleimani. But anyway, so Donald Trump, he sent a drone strike in, he took out Soleimani, and then the Iranians phoned him up and said, we're going to put air strikes in missile strikes, at one of your air bases, and they all missed. Now, the situation now is totally different, guys, okay? You can't use that as a basis for comparison because the ground of the situation is totally different. And by ground, I mean the geopolitical landscape is just totally different. Paraleeds, hello Paraleeds, is saying, will there be boots on the ground in the United Kingdom? Absolutely not. No, under no circumstances will there be any bad guys having boots on the ground. There may be trainers on the ground. You know what? I'm going to use that. So you know how we talk about boots on the ground as in to say that the military is on the ground? I'm going to start the phrase trainers on the ground, and trainers on the ground means the fifth column saboteurs, sleeper cells, because they would probably wear trainers. I like to think they'd wear trainers anyway. So no, we won't see boots on the ground, but we may see trainers on the ground in the United Kingdom. And you know what, guys? I'm going to say there's a strong likelihood that trainers on the ground are already here. Right, I'm going to jump over to YouTube again. Right, let's have a minute here. How have you been? Did you have a good weekend? The war has chaos. There's been no time to catch up. Guy Kenzie, listen, we just jumped straight into it on this channel. We just jumped straight into it. Chapon over on YouTube is saying, am I safe to go to New York from the UK? I'm worried of the sleeper cells. Yeah, look, okay, New York would be one of those places, one of those cities. Look, first of all, New York is massive. New York is huge. The likelihood of you actually being affected is low. But the likelihood of something happening in New York, I think it's certainly a target. You know, it's certainly one of those locations that could be what's the word I'm looking for? Could be a strike point. Remember, in the United States, people have a lot easier access to firearms. They have a lot easier access to, lots of things that we don't have here in the United Kingdom. The Thinking Man is saying, I've seen multiple Typhoon jets flying in UK airspace. I counted 8. Grumbling Grunts, do you see... Hang on. Let me pin this. Hang on. Grumbling Grunts is saying, do you foresee this de-escalating? No. And if so, are you anticipating Are you anticipating this settling back down, or will it get worse first? I think we've seen that. I think, and I'm not just saying this now, I'm not just saying this like as I'm jumping up here and saying, oh, this is going to lead to this. I'm just going to reiterate what I've always said on this channel. I feel that there's going to be a US invasion of Iran March 2026. I've always said that. I always had a Trump-led one as well. So even before Trump was elected, guys, all right, I've done videos on this. Okay? So that's what I think, and I don't think anything's changed. Right, I'm still waiting for that joke to come up. Still waiting for that joke. That joke didn't come. Right, I'm gonna have to try and find that who was trolling me. Like, let me just jump up and try and find this. I may have missed him. Right. Right, where are we? John is saying they wear sandals, not trainers. Right, I can't find it. Right, Big Kizza. I like Big Kizza's name. Right, Big Kizza is saying, I don't think people realise we don't have that many troops in our country, guys. We really don't. Oh, hang on. Right, Nadine, can you send your comment again, please, on TikTok? I was just about to read your comment, Nadine. Nadine, can you please send your comment? Because I know Nadine's comment was, hang on, I'm just trying to scroll up again, scrolling up. I might get to it. Where's Nadine gone? Where's Nadine? Nadine, I'm looking for you. Nadine, there you are. Right. Right, so Nadine is saying, so what do you think is gonna happen now US bases has been hit by Iran? So first of all, I don't think the US bases have actually been hit. What I think's happened is I think they've sent an attack. The attack's been unsuccessful. Look, guys, I still think that first of all, I need to keep saying this because I do think the embassy in Baghdad, the US embassy in Baghdad is ridiculously vulnerable, guys, okay? US embassy in Baghdad is ridiculously vulnerable. There's a lot of naval assets, the USS Nimitz. It's an older aircraft carrier. So there's a lot of other targets in that region. To try and strike the biggest, most well-protected air base, there's a lot of smaller ones, guys, okay? At some point, I think, again, listen, guys, this is just my speculation. At some point, I think one of these attacks will get through, and then at that point, the United States will have oh, hang on. Yeah, Scott Buckfast here is saying they intercepted the missiles according to the BBC, which is what I understand as well. But at some point, guys, one of these attacks is going to get through, and then it's going to be, it's going to be literal dilly swizzles for all those guys. But the problem is when the Iranians understand how vastly basically, when they understand that they don't really want to be gangsters anymore, when they understand that, that's when I think they're going to say, shout for the sleeper cells to activate. Right, I'm just going to jump onto the mainstream, guys, because as we've been talking, there's been 6 updates. So, right. IDF says, so Israeli Defense Force says Israel completes the most extensive attack on Tehran to date. So guys, look, everybody who was saying, oh, this is Trump, he's escalating to de-escalate. And no, he's escalating to escalate. So all those people who said that Trump did this airstrike to calm the situation down from 20 minutes ago, excuse me, IDF says Israel completes the most extensive attack on Tehran to date. The Israel Defense Force say they have conducted their most extensive wave, of strikes to date in Tehran, with 50 Israeli Air Force jets involved and more than 100 munitions dropped in the attack on Monday. So, guys, listen, it doesn't look like they're ramping down. It doesn't look like they're de-escalating. It actually looks like from this article anyway, it looks like they're ramping up their attacks on Tehran. Iranian Parliament Committee approves general plan to suspend cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Authority. The National Security Committee of Iran's parliament approved the general outline of the bill meant to fully suspend Tehran's cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog. So, guys, listen, this has literally come out in the last 20 minutes. So, right now, the Iranians are saying, yeah, we're going to get our nuclear bomb, and by golly, if it kills us in the end, then so be it. We're going to get our bomb. So that's what they're saying at the moment, guys. Yesterday I think they came out and they were talking about closing the Strait of Hormuz, which I think is a done deal at some point, guys. Not a closure per se, but I think the Iranians will be heavily dictating who goes through the Strait of Hormuz. Qatar Airways said it suspended all flights following the closure of air traffic in Qatar. Ladies and gentlemen, look, yesterday's live stream, all my videos now, guys, are public record. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, I've been waffling now. I've been on permanent send for 41 minutes, right? Guys, listen, if you're on and you've not done so already, can you hit the buttons? The ones up here, like down below. If you're, remember, we're double streaming now, so we're streaming on YouTube, we are streaming on TikTok. Can you press the buttons to help this channel grow? And yeah, you guys know what the buttons are, don't you? And of course, if you're on TikTok as well watching, can you give me a follow? Because guys, listen, I do all my own work. I give you my own analysis. I give you my own understanding of the situation. And a lot of the time, this last week, guys, it's been bonkers, because this last week I have gone against all the mainstream media. I've gone against everything that they're saying. They're all coming out and they're regurgitating the same swizzles. And I've said, no, I don't think that's what's happening, guys. I think this is what's actually happening. And then a couple of days later, a day later, it's actually been proven. The best one, guys, the best one that you guys can see is go and look at my videos I did yesterday when Donald Trump and the US military and what's his name, Hegseth, they're all standing up there saying, the US airstrike, it was a perfect operation. We obliterated this. We obliterated it. Again, listen, guys, that may be true. What I said was, right, we need to be careful and actually wait till we get a real battlefield damage analysis now, because I know how these munitions work. I can pretty much guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, that no politician, no mainstream media news reporter knows how these munitions work. I said, when they go in, there's a lot of things that can send them off. So let's just wait and see the battlefield damage analysis. And then this morning, there was more Israeli strikes on that location. And again, I may be wrong. The Israelis may have just decided to go in there and, we're going to strike it again. But the fact that they're striking it again, to me, says that it's not a done deal. It's not over. And it still has some degree of operationality. Is operationality a word? If it's not a word, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? I'm a fully qualified English gentleman. It's my birthright to make up words. But guys, listen, yeah, the situation's going absolutely bonkers. More live updates as we get in them now. So, right, these live updates are going really quick. Hang on. We've done that one. Hang on. Iran's supreme leader says we will not submit to anyone's aggression. So that's from 4 minutes ago, guys. 4 minutes ago and this is a post on, how is he still allowed to post on X? I think that's a post on X. Yeah, it's a post on X. I mean, I might go and follow him, but from a post on X, the supreme leader has said, we will not submit to anyone's aggression following Iran's retaliatory strikes on the US airbase in Qatar. Supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei has said on X, we have not attacked anyone. We absolutely do not accept anyone's aggression, nor will we submit to anyone's aggression. This is the logic of the Iranian nation. Is he saying that after he's just attacked a US airbase? I don't know what that means. But anyway, look, guys, I know English is not his first language. Maybe in Arabic it translates differently. I don't know. And then 2 minutes ago, Kuwait and Bahrain's respected news agencies are reporting that the countries had reopened their airspace after a brief suspension earlier. Also, Dubai airport. Can you imagine right now if you're in Dubai? Can you imagine right now if you are in Dubai and you're like, do I really want to get on this plane right now? I mean, really? So I'll just wait this one out. Also, Dubai Airport, I said its operations have resumed after briefly being suspended, and some flights could be delayed or cancelled. Right, guys, listen, that's from 2 minutes ago. I think we are up to date with the updates, if that makes sense. But I will keep you updated on the updates. Right, guys, listen, one of the comments on YouTube is I can't find you on TikTok. Guys, listen, my handle is the same on everything, guys. I'm the Real Raven 1. I am the Real Raven 1 I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube and on TikTok. Johnson Trussell is saying, it's amazing how people you run weed out of the race. Donald Trump's words, I've been glued to your podcast. Oh, thank you so much. I know you're absolutely know what you're talking about, my friend. No, yeah, guys, look, when I give these analysis and when I give you guys my speculation on the situation, I'm not getting this information off someone else. I'm not getting a publisher or like an editor come and say, Sean, this is what you've got to say. I'm not waiting for a military expert to come and tell me what they think's happening. I'm giving it you as my own work, guys. Okay, my own analysis, my own opinion, my own speculation, and it's from my time in the military. I joined the military in '99. My time working in the Middle East, my time working in Ukraine, and I put all that together, and it just so happens that right now the two conflict zones are Ukraine and the Middle East. But guys, listen, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, do all those things that help this channel grow. Look, when we started these channels, the world wasn't as volatile as it is right now. And one of the things I wanted to push on, guys, all right, is exploration and space exploration, because although like some people, I get it in the comments, you enjoy this, you love this, why are you always talking about it? Because I know it, and I know what's coming, and I believe that we're heading towards a global conflict on an industrial scale. And of course, that's not what I want. Oh, hang on. Right, my sister's phoning me. So she's phoning me on WhatsApp for some reason. So I would much rather the world be heading, and I think we're going to do, and I think after these conflicts are over, I think we are going to do this. But after these conflicts, I would much rather a world, because we can't stop these conflicts now, but I would much rather a world where our children, your children as well, were growing up into a spacefaring civilization, where rather than fighting each other over little patches of land and who said what and who wouldn't close what factories down, we're still competing, but we're competing in space. We're competing for space resources, and we're expanding humanity to different planets, different solar systems. You know, we're going and putting huge solar farms around the sun. Like, that sort of stuff really excites me, guys. And I just, I hope I'm alive to witness it. But right, let me jump on the questions, guys. Esoteric has put Bahrain, Kuwait, and the UAE have now reopened their airspace. You were saying that. London Voice is saying this will be World War III sooner than you think. Sean, so Googly is saying, Sean, there's an article in the Telegraph proving you were right. Right about what, Googly? Googly, can you send me a little... About what? Google, can you let me know right about what? Because I don't know what that's about. Hang on. Right. NATO officer, UK should lead on spy technology. when was I talking about UK should lead on spy technology? I can't remember that, but I said that recently. Listen, I think if anyone's leading on spy technology, it's got to be the Israelis. I mean, do we forget that the Israelis did the pager strike? Honestly, guys, look, you can think what you want about like the Israelis and how they're conducting this, how they're conducting this conflict. Like to get that pager strike, guys, it's absolutely unbelievable how they managed to get all those things in place. Read the description of what it says. Right, Google it. Let me get this. Right, I'm just gonna have a look here, guys. Right, developing surveillance. The UK should lead on NATO intelligence operations as the US shifts towards China. Yeah, okay, right, yeah. So one of the things I've always said on this channel, guys, okay, one of the things I've always said on this channel is when we're moving in, and thank you, Google, for putting me onto that. So let me just, yeah. So one of the things I've always said on this channel is the United Kingdom is going to take the lead in Europe against the perceived threat in Europe. Now, the reason I've said that is because Britain has that strike capacity. They have the ability to move forwards, to take and strike and seize. They have the best special forces. They have the best, the best communications equipment, the best technology to do that role. What they don't have is the heavy tanks, the heavy artillery, the logistics to then hold that ground. And if you're at the front, you have to take the lead, guys. You have to take the lead. That's just the way it is. So that's one of the things I've always said. And there's an article out on the, there's an article out on the Telegraph. There's an article out in the Telegraph saying pretty much what we've just talked about. Right, I'm going to jump over to YouTube, guys. There's quite a few comments on YouTube. Kenzie is saying so much has happened in the past week, it's hard to keep up. Yeah, listen, I said, didn't I? I said we'll wake up on a Monday and then go to bed on a Friday and go, wow, well, that escalated quickly. Remember, guys, all right, these aircraft that the United States have, they're quite, they can quite easily go and do another airstrike into, more airstrikes into Iran. Paul Africa, do you think the UK could become a soft target? Should we be worried? Well, the UK is a soft target already. I mean, we've had this incident at Bryce Norton, this Bryce Norton attack. I think that just showed everybody how actually soft of a target some of these things are. I mean, guys, let's face it. It's harder to get into a nightclub than it is to get into RAF Bryce Norton. No, really, it is. It's harder to get into a nightclub than it is at RAF Bryce Norton. And do you know what? I'd like to know if they've actually repaired that fence now. And if they had no money to do it before, where's that money come from? So, yeah, I think the UK is a soft target anyway. And I do think we're going to see these things materialize this summer in the materialization of the Summer of Carnage. Where I'm confused, Article 5, how would it work for America in the Middle East if a full-scale war breaks out? So first of all, Article 5 would mean, so Article 5 basically says an attack on one member state is deemed an attack on all member states. The Security Council must convene to take action necessary to bring peace and stability back to that region. Incidentally, the only person who's ever pulled Article 5 is America after September the 11th. But look, I don't think anybody's going to invoke Article 5 on NATO. I think NATO's done. I think it's over. I genuinely think that it's not worth the paper it's written on. Remember, the United States are going to be leading from the front. They're not going to be invoking anything. They're going to be leading from the front. So they are going to want, they're going to want that. they're going to want that front foot, so they're not going to really be asking for anybody else to help them. Gemini Blessing is saying 11 days Independence Day, U.S. Independence Day, or Treason Day, as I like to call it. I like to say to my American friends. So yeah, International Treason Day. Also, it's the first day of the Oasis concert in Cardiff, ladies and gentlemen. And I've been speculating things that are going to happen there, and I've even put a £5 bet on that, guys. I've even put a £5 bet on that. Right, I'm just reading these comments on YouTube, guys. I'm just reading these comments on YouTube. There's quite a lot. So it's the one and only J-Dog on YouTube has just said, was 9/11 an inside job? Oh, I don't know. What do we think, guys? What do we think? Was September 11th, an inside job? I don't know. Listen, and especially while I've got TikTok running, I wouldn't want to even talk about that. Silly Gallardi is saying, sorry, I forgot how to speak. In Israel, the analysts think Israel is close to finishing its attacks in Iran, and fingers crossed do a ceasefire in Gaza. I don't know. I'm not seeing it, guys. I am not seeing a ceasefire coming. Listen, I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But you've got to understand, I mean, this could, actually that could happen. We could have a situation where the Israelis, they say, right, we've finished, we've conducted our operation, we've stopped, we want to have a ceasefire. And then the Iranians say, well, hang on, no. We still owe you some rockets. And then the Iranians throw rockets over, and then you see the continuation. So that's what I think could be coming, guys. Okay. Thoughts? Julian is saying thoughts on sleeper cells in the UK. Do you know what, guys? Listen, we are coming up to an hour on TikTok. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save all these difficult conversations for YouTube, because the algorithm on YouTube doesn't restrict me if I talk about these things. John Tingersel is saying it's actually harder to get into a nightclub. It's actually harder to get into a nightclub, Sean. Vanit Security, my friend, I do say anything else. And then Weasel on Diesel is saying, I think Trump has a parade organised this coming Saturday. Wasn't that last Saturday or the Saturday before? Hang on, guys. I need to do some buttons. I need to swish some buttons. There we are. We're done. I think that was last Saturday. Hi, Raven. Has Wales received as many trainers on the ground as the rest of the UK? So there, guys, we've come up with a little code word in our little community, guys. So you guys and us and you guys, we've come up with a little code word, haven't we? So you know how we say boots on the ground, as in military, foreign military on the ground in said country. We've come up with a new one, guys. It's trainers on the ground. And I know some of you guys are saying flip-flops on the ground, but I'm not sure that's I'm not sure that's very PC. But I like trainers on the ground, guys. Okay, I do. I like trainers on the ground. But trainers on the ground would be in response to potential saboteurs, potential fifth columns, potential, people that have come to this country who don't actually like it in this country. And he's saying, have Wales received as many as the rest of the United Kingdom? I don't know. I remember when I used to live in Cardiff. I used to live, just outside Cardiff, actually. There was a big Somalian community in Cardiff. The rest of Wales, I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be able to comment on the rest of Wales. Right, let me jump up and get some more of these. In fact, hang on, let me press a button here. Oh, no, it's not. We are not right. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to press some buttons, but they're not working for some reason, because there must be so many people live streaming. Right. Anyway, Right, so Big Kizza is saying Cardiff and Newport have a big Somalian community. Listen, I was walking out of, where was it? Listen, guys, I don't know if anybody works in or lives near Sheffield, but there's an IKEA in Sheffield. And I was coming out of the IKEA like a couple of, you know what? I think it might have been like a week ago or something. It might have even been longer, last month. I was coming out of the IKEA, and there's like a little park. It's a bit of a naff park. There's a little park, but there's also like it's like a the underground of IKEA is it's like the parking bay, the car park. Sorry. We was there and we were messing about on the park with the kids, and I looked round and there was this beautiful, absolutely beautiful Somalian family, and they were sat down. You know, they had their traditional Somalian clothes on and their flip flops, and you know, it was a nice hot day. But they were sat in a parking bay having a picnic, and I just thought, wow, that's like, you know, that's really fantastic. Like, it's not something I would have seen. It's not something I would have normally expected to see. But you know what, guys? It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. And you know, there we are, guys. You know, we've got this new world to look forward to. Right, I'm just going to jump down now and try and get some more of these comments because there are so many comments. Matt is saying, well done. Oh, we got over 100,000. We got over 100,000 likes. That's you guys. Thank you so much. Go on YouTube and take a look at Christian Zionism. I will have to have a look at that later on tonight, and then we'll talk about that tomorrow. Bok is saying, why do you think the Oasis concert in Cardiff is a target? So, first of all, guys, right, okay, so let me pin this. So, for those of you guys who don't know, we've got the first date of the Oasis concert in Cardiff on the 4th of July. What I've said is, I think we're going to see the first skirmishers. We're going to see the first skirmishers that are going to lead to the Summer of Carnage. Now, I've not said we're going to see mass, you know, riots and protests break out, but I've said we're going to see the first skirmishers. Now, why have I said that? First of all, the timing, the date. If you understand subversion, if you understand, like, so if you go for Yuri Bezmenov's 4 phases of ideological subversion and say demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization. We've been destabilized already. It's done. It's over. We are a destabilized country, a demoralized country. Right now, we are being destabilized. Be under no illusion, ladies and gentlemen. In the United Kingdom, we are being destabilized. And all these crazy laws that are being passed, and you think, how is that happening? How is that happening? You're looking and you're thinking, why is this all happening? It's because we're being destabilized. And then the next phase would be the crisis phase. So if you think we're going to have to head into the crisis phase, what better date to start that as the 4th of July, if there is somebody behind the scenes looking at this. Also, the demographic that go, tell me what kind of demographic are going to be going to the Oasis concert, guys. Do we think it's going to be I don't know. Do we think it's going to be Somalians aged 18 to 24? Do we think it's going to be, I don't know, guys, do we think it's going to be Chinese people aged 24 to 30? Like, what demographic of people are going to go to that Oasis concert? And how old are they going to be? So first, now you're starting to build a picture of the type of person that's going. And that is the type of person, my generation, who's seeing and can remember how cool things were in the 90s, guys. How cool it was to be British in the 90s. You know, yeah, I'm British. Yeah, it's awesome. You know, so that generation, you know, we still remember that. And we have that, there's a French word, amaratia. Amaratia, I think it's called amaratia. Feeling nostalgia for something that didn't happen to you. So anyway, that's slightly different, but you know, we will feel real nostalgia. going to that Oasis concert. And when you get there and you've got 70,000 people all with those feelings and those emotions, and and when like Slide Away comes on at the end or whatever, and people are going to be leaving, they're going to get out onto the streets in Cardiff, 70,000 people of a demographic. I don't know, guys. Tell me how they're going to mix with the Somalian community, with the beautiful Muslim community that's in Cardiff. What do we think is going to happen? Do we think they're going to all be singing, all be linking hands and doing the Macarena down what is it, St Mary's Street in Cardiff? Do you think they're all going to be doing the Macarena down St Mary's Street to Chippy Lane? Then they're all going to have a halal kebab. I don't know, guys. Maybe that's true. Maybe that is true. Right. Let me jump down and get these comments, because listen, guys. I keep waffling. I keep waffling, don't I? Right, let me jump down. Jace is Ace is saying Trump says their attack was weak. I mean, he's just egging them on, isn't he? Right, hang on. Let me look at. I'm gonna go on X, guys, to see on what Trump said. I think this is it, guys. Oh no, this is right, guys. So I've got Donald Trump's response here, guys. So breaking news, everyone. Donald Trump has responded. I'm not ready now, guys, but I am smirking because I can't wait for the festivities. Donald Trump's responded with a tweet. Alas. Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very, in fact, hang on. Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities. We did it really good. No other military could do that. No, so, you know what, guys? I'll read what it says without my little articulation. Sorry, I'll start again. Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected, and have very effectively countered. There have been 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, and 1 was set free because it was heading in a non-threatening direction. I am pleased to report that no Americans were harmed, and hardly any damage was done. Most importantly, they've gotten it out of their system, and will hopefully be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us an early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost. Nobody was injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region. I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald Trump, President of the United States. Right, guys, so listen, just a couple of things that I want to add to this. So it's always the things that you don't see, or it's always the things that are off-articulated. So listen to this bit here, guys, okay? So there were 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, and 1 was set free because it was heading in a non-threatening direction. So remember what I said earlier on, guys? Remember what I said earlier on about the radars? The radars will target the trajectory, and they'll be like, yeah, that one's going to hit, that one's going to hit. Well, it does look like they fired 13 missiles at them. It does look like these missiles were going to hit, guys, okay? So it's totally, this is not like the previous, it's not like the previous strike, guys, okay? So we've got to judge that then with what the Ayatollah's saying, where he's saying we're going to continue to fire, and we're going to keep targeting these, we're going to keep targeting US assets. Guys, listen, I don't think we've seen the last of this. I really don't. There's too much happening in the world. There's too much critical mass, guys. There really is too much critical mass. Right, unknown user. In fact, Vinny Holmes. Let me pin that. Right, Vinny Holmes is saying, Vinny Holmes is saying, Raven, I've just joined. Can you recap on what's going on? Listen, guys, I'm going to swizzle over to YouTube in a minute, and then we'll continue, and we'll talk about the... we've talked about, I totally forgot what I was talking about. My sister's messaging me. Yeah, so we're going to jump over to YouTube in a minute, and we are going to talk about, we are going to have a little bit of a more adult conversation about sleeper cells, you know, likely attacks. Listen, guys, okay, and what I said right at the beginning of this video, in fact, let me just Google this real quick. Right, I've just Googled US Embassy threat. Nothing really on the mainstream. Oh, there's a video from yesterday, Sky News video. Iran could attack US Embassy in Baghdad. Yeah, it doesn't really. Yeah, there's nothing on the mainstream, guys. Look, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But look, it doesn't mean it's going to happen either. I know where the US Embassy is in Baghdad, ladies and gentlemen. And I know it's very achievable to score a hit on the US Embassy in Baghdad. As well as having the embassy in Baghdad, you've got the staff there. And then to get those staff out of Baghdad, you've got to go down Route Irish. Route Irish is a 7-kilometer road from the IZ or the international zone or the green zone in Baghdad, which is a relative safe area. You go through some bit dodgy provinces, and then that is a 7-kilometer straight road. And when I used to work as a contractor out there, a security contractor, it literally was like running the gauntlet, guys. It really was like running the gauntlet. Right, Paige Oliver, so worried we're going to get nuked. No, listen, stop. Guys, I will always prioritize messages like this, guys, okay? I do not think that we are ever going to see, nuclear weapons used in this world again. I just don't see it, guys, okay? I'm going to drop a video very shortly on, YouTube. It's going to be a reaction video. It's going to be a reaction video to a video I watched by Professor Simon. I don't know if you guys follow him. But in that video, Professor Simon, he talks about, things that happen on nuclear bases, and he ties this into energy release and alternate dimensions. And it's just, I'm going to do a standalone video to that, guys, but I do not think any nuclear weapons are going to be dropped ever, like ever again. I think the best, I say best, there was a very high possibility when the Ukrainians went into the Kursk region in Russia, and they just basically went in and they took the ground and they held the ground. That was the best chance for Vladimir Putin to use a nuclear weapon, guys, okay? He could have used a nuclear weapon and got away with it. But, I do think there's real threats to the United Kingdom. There are threats of, there's, first of all, we talk about sleeper cells. We're going to be talking on YouTube about sleeper cells shortly, but there's sleeper cells, asymmetric warfare, non-conventional warfare, grey warfare, black warfare, green warfare. But I think we're going to have a new dynamic or a new name, because what I think is coming to the United Kingdom is where you just pay people. So, I don't know, say that I wanted something like setting on fire. Say I wanted a substation to go up in flames. Rather than send my best spies to that country to they've had to go through passport control, they've had to be seen on cameras. All I need to do is find someone online, give them some money, and tell them to burn it. You see where we're going here, guys? And I would say that there are lots of people. In fact, you know what? The government of the United Kingdom is saying that there are 40,000 people on watch lists. So if you start looking at the numbers, the workforce is there. You just need to start paying them. You think anything will kick off Armed Forces Weekend? Yes, I do. I do think something will kick off Armed Forces Weekend, which is, when's that? It's pretty soon, isn't it? It's like, is it next weekend? I think it's next weekend, isn't it? Or is it? Is it this weekend or next weekend? I think it's next weekend. But anyway, guys, listen, so that's what I do think the threat to the United Kingdom is, guys, all right? That's what I think the threat to the United Kingdom is. Right. Oh, it's this weekend. Right. Armed Forces is this weekend. Yeah. So what you're going to have with the Armed Forces weekend, guys, all right, you're going to have this situation where you're getting a lot of young men, a lot of veterans, all gathering together in various locations. And guess what else you're going to have? You're going to have these people waving the flags. You're going to have these useful idiots. Look, guys, I don't know if I've said this. I know I've said this on the channel before, but I know there's probably people here watching who've not seen this before. Julie is saying, hang on, this is a good question. This is a good question. So Julie is saying, the people on the watch list, why are they just not removed? Because they've not committed a crime, and that's like the reality. You can't remove someone or deport someone if they've not done anything wrong. Yes, they're on watch lists. Yes, they are probably associated with people that they shouldn't be. I remember when I was in the military, everybody we came across that was a bad guy, we had to take DNA swabs and to get as many fingerprints as we could. But again, these will be and then you build up this intelligence network and you build up pictures and patterns of life of people. So until they make a crime, and that's the terrible thing, until they do something bad, they've got as many rights as you, Julie. In fact, Julie, until they do something bad, they have got probably as many rights, or some people could argue more rights than you. Right, Sharon Stewart saying, are we involved yet, or is it just America? Right, guys, look, I need to start closing this live stream down and go over to YouTube, but I will answer this one, guys, okay? Because I always, I always want to, I always want to prioritize these questions like this. Are we involved yet, or is it just America? Just America and Israel, and I don't see any scenario, guys, where the United Kingdom, Great Britain, gets involved, guys. I really don't see how we can get involved in the Middle East. We don't have the manpower. We don't have the aircraft. We don't have the aircraft carriers that work. We don't have anything to contribute. What we do have to contribute, like Googly just said, is our striking capacity on the ground in Europe. So that's where I believe the United Kingdom is going. Anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to turn you guys off now on TikTok, guys. I'm going to turn you guys off on TikTok. We're going to go over to YouTube. We're going to have a little bit more of an open conversation. We're going to be talking about sleeper cells. We're going to be talking about the likely strike locations in the United Kingdom and anything else you guys throw up there in the chat. But anyway, guys, if you're not going over to TikTok, I will see you guys tomorrow at 10. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all these buttons up there and down below, bell notifications. You guys know what to do. You've done it before. Anyway, guys, I will see you soon. Right now, you've got that awkward couple of seconds where I'm trying to turn this, Right, guys, listen, and my name on YouTube is exactly the same. It's The Real Raven 1, and the link is in the bio. Right, off. Are we off? I think we're off. Right, we are off, and we are just, no, we're not, we're still on. There, we're off. Oh, that was emotional, ladies and gentlemen. Right, okay, let me jump over here, guys. Let me jump over here. Siligaladi again is saying there was a call to, there was a wall-to-wall condemnation of Iran strikes, even Lebanon and the PLO, which are considered Iran's proxies, all but France. Yeah, I think, look, guys, and again, listen, I totally understand people are emotional. People are getting upset about things and scenes that are happening around the world. And, I give criticism where it's due. But when, like, for example, the French President Macron, he invited this rebel leader of Syria. I mean, this guy is an absolute butcher. He's a butcher, guys, all right? He is a bad man, all right? When you're happy to shake his hand and smile and give bro hugs to him, like what kind of credibility do you have on the world stage? Also, I think everybody should look for pictures of President Macron when he was younger. Guys, look, there's not a chance in hell that that guy is straight. No way, Bob. He ain't straight. I'm throwing it out there, guys, all right? There's not a chance that Macron is straight. No way, guys, all right? And listen, I'm not going to mention his wife, so I'm not going to talk about his wife, and I don't think any of you guys should either. Right, listen, there's so many comments on here, guys. Right, I'm just going to try and... Not Trump, Priv Caro is saying, not Trump saying, congratulations, it's time for peace on Truth Social. He seems out of it. Yeah, so what we've just read about Donald Trump there, guys, on his Truth Social, I genuinely think he's trolling. I think he's trolling. I don't even think he wrote that. I bet Barron Trump wrote that. Yeah, I do think Donald Trump is trolling with that, guys. I really do. Freddie is saying, congratulations, world. It's time for peace, says Trump. Hi, jumped over, says Jody Lee. Hello. And hello, everyone that's jumped over. In fact, guys, listen, hang on a minute. I am going to get myself. Just wait there a minute. Sorry, guys. I've just got myself a carbonated, a non-alcoholic carbonated drink. Right. Couple of you guys jumping over. Hello, everyone is jumping over. Phil Q is saying the end game is China. Yes, it is. I believe the end game is China as well, guys. I do. Okay, what I think is going to happen in this direction. So you've got all these conflicts brewing at the moment. I've said many times, I don't see the scenario right now where NATO or the Europeans get a win against Russia. And again, I'm going against what everybody else is saying, guys, okay? Everybody else is saying the Russians are done, they're out, they're over. I'm just not seeing that, guys, all right? I'm not seeing that. So what I think, this is going to be wild, guys, okay? This is going to be raving wild, all right? Depends how deep you want me to go. So in a scenario where Europe, as it is now, fights Russia as they are now, it's not a W for Europe. Don't forget, the Russians have been using their war machine. They've been fighting. They've been pushing forwards. They've been taking ground. They know how to work. They know how to work with each other. They're interoperable. They know how to use small, inexpensive drones. The Europeans are going to go in there with all their fancy kit and equipment. They will have some success early on, but as time goes by, and you know those big bits of expensive equipment, those 10 grand drones that like a unit have got 3 of, and they cost 10 grand and they can only be serviced at one particular place, and that place costs this much money, but they've only got so many staff and they can't get them out because they're contracted and there's only 3 people. You know those guys? They're going to be beating the smaller drones, but you know what? Over time, the Russians are going to be using cheaper drones, and then once that drone's gone, it's gone, it ain't coming back. And then once the next drone's gone, it's gone, it ain't coming back. And then they've got no drones then. And the Russians are using the cheap ones that cost a few, like maybe a couple $100 bought from China. They're using command wires with them, and there's no response to that. So over time, the Russians will push back. And the more kit and equipment that NATO loses, that the Europeans lose, because of the way the bureaucracy in our procurement system, it's just not coming back. So what I believe could happen is the Russians could, once the Russians have beaten that initial wave, why would they stop? Like, why would you stop? Would you only go you would only take Ukraine? No, of course not. You push into Poland, push into France, keep pushing until you've taken the whole of Europe. One place that they can't take, it would just be a logistical impossibility, would be the United Kingdom. They're not going to be able to get over the channel. So now in this scenario, you've got a scenario where the Russians, and again, guys, this is total hypothetical, but there is some credibility behind it. But this scenario, the Russians push through Europe, absolutely cripple themselves, but they take the whole of Europe up to the Channel. At that point, both Russia and the United Kingdom, we are totally bankrupt. Both of us, we're all bankrupt. Europe is under Russian control. Britain we've got nothing left. We've got no young men. We've got no money. We've got no steel. We are just literally like, whew. Well, yeah, definitely. Well, I'll probably not do that one for another 80 years. And in that scenario, guess who takes over? Well, China would take control of Russia. They'd prop them up financially. They'd rebuild them. They'd help them financially. So then you have that whole Russia, well, Europe, Ukraine, Russia, China, that whole block, and parts of Asia. And then on the other side, obviously, the Americans and Israelis are not, I don't believe the Americans and Israelis are going to have much trouble with Iran. But there you have it, guys. And you literally have Oceania and Eurasia. George Orwell's 1984 playing out in front of us. And of course, in that scenario, the United States, the United Kingdom becomes part of the United States. But anyway, guys, who knows? Who knows how that's gonna roll? That was a bit of a long-winded answer, wasn't it? Right, guys, I'm just jumping down because there's quite a lot of answers. When they claim peace and security, the end time is near, says Freddie. Look, yeah, so Donald Trump is like, again, I think Trump's trolling. But what he said in his little Truth Social post, he's kind of trolling, isn't he? Because usually he's very aggressive and he's like, we're going to bring down hell and high water and we're going to destroy it. And I do think he's trolling there, guys. I think he's trolling. He's taking the mick out of the Iranians. And I do think the Iranians are going to strike again. And then Donald Trump's going to say, listen, we wanted peace, but you guys keep shooting at us, so we're going to have to come and invade. Thank you guys for jumping over. Really appreciate it. Rocket Man Gaming, totally agreed. He's fab, our Rav. Thank you. I think that's to me. Sarah Davis is saying, all evening to you, Sarah. Lol, you're right. Macron's not straight. He's a lovely husband in disguise. Coastal, that's all I've been doing the past weeks. Shaking. I don't know what that means. Right, I'm just jumping down the comments, guys. Gavin Riches, stop watching anything till your central nervous system calms down. Sharon, it's all I see over social media, this war that can't help being scared. What's going on here? What's going on here with Gavin? Gavin, Coastal, that's all I've been doing. I don't know. What's wrong with Gavin? What's wrong with Gavin, guys? What is wrong with Gavin? Right, okay, Gavin, right, okay, I've got Gavin's statement here, So Gavin's a bit worried, guys, all right? Gavin's a bit worried. Look, here in the United Kingdom, all right, I'm assuming you live in the United Kingdom, Gavin, we are blessed living on a fortress island. Yes, I agree. The fortress island can't stop rubber dinghies. I totally get that. But when it comes to boots or like militaries coming here, it's just not going to happen, guys. It is not going to happen. I mean, good old the Germans are the might of the German. I guess you could call it the German Empire. The might of the German Empire. You know, they had Operation Sea Lion in They had Operation Sea Lion planned, I think, in 1939. They couldn't do it. They could not do Operation Sea Lion because they knew they had to cross the channel and they could not get air superiority. And that's just not going to happen again. It won't happen. It's just not a thing to be able to cross that channel, guys. Okay, to be able to cross that vast stretch of water. With the nuclear missiles, guys, look, I am going to drop a video on YouTube. Talking about why I don't think nuclear weapons are going to be used ever. I just don't see it, guys. I don't think nuclear weapons are going to be used. There is a real threat to the United Kingdom, and that threat comes from within, guys. It does that. The threat comes from within. But you know what? If you follow the hibernate, relocate, evacuate algorithm, you will be fine. Right, I'm jumping down, guys. Joe Watson, even if US decide not to strike Iran anymore, I can't see Israel stopping. What's stopping Iran from striking Israel? Their ballistic missile sites are taken out. What's stopping Russia? Yeah, look, guys, like people are trying to, like people are erroneously trying to identify with what happened in 2020, where the United States sent in a drone strike to Soleimani, which was like he was like a colonel or something in the Iranian army. There was a drone strike. He transcended into a beam of light. He got his 72 like kids or whatever it is. The Iranians then responded and they fired a load of missiles at a US base in, I think it was Iraq, but all those missiles missed. The world is totally different to what it was back then, guys, okay? And from Donald Trump's post where he says there have been 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, and one was set free because it was heading in a non-threatening direction. So that to me says that 13 missiles were on target and one was slightly off target. So it does to me say anyway that they were actually targeting this base. Whereas before, in 2020, they were not targeting the bases, just around the area. Right, guys, listen, I am going to, I'm just going to jump to the bottom, guys, okay? Pangea Prime says, nukes don't work. Yeah, there is that as well. And that's Creepy Queen. What does that mean? What does that mean, that's Creepy Queen? Let me jump up. I want to know what's Creepy Queen. Oh, Creepy Queen. Laura Lee, he will be okay, doll. I don't know what. Right, I think you guys are talking among yourselves, which is fantastic. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this one down now. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. Who knows what festivities the world is gonna produce in the next, like, what is it, like a couple of hours while we're all asleep? I don't even know what I'm going to wake up to anymore, guys. I really don't. The other day I woke up to the airstrikes in, the other day we woke up to stealth B-2 stealth bombers flying, taking out nuclear facilities in Iran. A couple of hours ago there was missile strikes on US bases. It's all bonkers. I will say it again, guys, okay? I do believe the US embassy in Baghdad is particularly vulnerable, guys, okay? Particularly vulnerable. Right, guys, listen, I am going to go now. I'll see you all in the morning, 10 o'clock. Do not be late. And of course, hit the like, the subscribe, the follow, the buttons down below. I'll see you in the morning.